Welcome to Tuesday, January 21, 2025. Another edition of Litter Media Live with the icon Mike Smith. I'm Dan Ramey, and off to the side we have our Mr. Hand 2, Aaron Glanton, here today. Thank you for joining us. O-H-I-O. Wow.
How about that?
It was a great start to the contest. Not only was it a great start to the contest, it was a great finish. But the last, minute and a half was like, okay, can we just run the clock out and just let's get on with the celebration?
Right.
You know, you don't have to score again. You don't have to do any of that. But Buckeyes are national champions. Paul Brown, Woody Hayes, Jim Tressel, Urban Meyer, and the guy you want to fire, Ryan Day.
I felt so good for that guy and his family last night. They've been through. Woody's, they had a post this morning with all of the national championships. There was somebody actually before Paul Brown, and I should have probably screenshot that, and I didn't. But Woody won 5.
Yeah.
He won 5. But did you know, I was reading about this before the game yesterday. I think it was in the 66 season. They finished 4-5. And the outcry was, he's past his prime, firing. And then came the 1968.
Yeah.
The super sophomores. So,
yeah. You do what you can with what you got.
Yeah.
And we had some sophomores come in. And boy, what would it have been like if all those super sophomores could have played as freshmen?
Exactly. Because they couldn't at that time.
Yeah. We didn't really decide where to roll this, but if you've got it available, I was going through Facebook this morning, came across a series of stories by our buddy Ben Hartsock. He, of course, is now working for Sirius XM Radio, and so he was there. That's he with his brother Than, but they were at the national championship game with celebrities like Scott Van Pelt right there, and but he went up into the press box, and we get a look at some of the folks that are in. We see them on TV, we hear them on radio, but you don't always see who they are and what it's like behind the scenes. So this is Sean McDonough and Greg McElroy in their little press box area in the Mercedes-Benz. And there's the legend, Paul Keels and Jim Lachey. You see the backs of them there. But here he is. The championship's been decided, and it's time for Ben Hartsock to get into different wear. So he's doing a costume change in the tunnel.
Ben, this is biased.
Hey, listen, we were biased until the game was over. Now I'm celebrating, okay?
You're unbiased.
You were unbiased.
You're gonna,
unbiased.
Yeah, you were unbiased.
Professional, unbiased till the very end. Now
Okay,
the bias.
but now but this is the part where you're gonna do your job and like hold a microphone.
Yeah, these guys are going to be excited to see. Friendly faces. Friendly faces.
And then afterwards, I saw during the Scott Van Pelt interview, these guys drive by on the cart, but didn't see this until later. I want to thank Chamber President Michael Throne. He shared this. The front axle broke on that golf cart they're in. This gal was driving, and she was trying to make that turn, and suddenly you think of Austin Powers because there was that section of the movie where he's trying to turn the cart around in the hallway. And Ryan got rattled a little bit in this because he took the brunt of it, but still managed to get up. And here's a national champion humbly walking off after an accident.
I wonder who the young lady was. The Today Show was running that also.
Yeah.
And they were interviewing Will Howard, and he was in the back, and he said, whoever was with him, he said, we were laughing so hard, we were crying. Yeah. He said, we hope that Coach Day wasn't hurt, but it was so funny.
Yeah, I think he and Sonny Styles were on there too because they were the defensive and offensive players of the game. And then, of course, had Coach Day in there. But when Scott Van Pelt was doing his post game, he was talking with Reese at the time, Reese Davis. And I saw them drive by in the background. But then I saw that later, and I'm like, oh, my gosh. You see him go by, but you don't know what happens until later.
Exactly.
During the press conference they had earlier this morning at 9 o'clock, they asked Will Howard about that. And he didn't go into great detail, but he said, I hope Coach Day is okay. Because, man, he did. they hit hard. So, all right, go Bucks. A little bit more about that coming up in sports. But first, let's take a look at this cold forecast. We're almost out of the chill area, right?
Yeah, well, another day. Partly sunny again today and tomorrow, but highs today and tomorrow in the mid-teens. I think we had a low this morning of like 3 above. Well, tomorrow morning, it'll be -5 first thing in the morning. And then we're going to see a warm-up on Thursday to 32, and then maybe 40 or a little above for the weekend.
And our graph is showing -7, so 2 degrees difference. When it's below 0, it's still cold.
It's cold.
It is,
and that's not wind chill, folks. That is actual temperature.
Is tonight the night that we're supposed to be able to see 6 planets aligned, or was that last night?
I haven't heard anything about that.
You've not heard about that? Yeah. And I believe all the planets are supposed to be aligned. I want to say it's February 28th,
that's not
25th.
That's not what they refer to as Aquarius, is it?
I can't remember.
When all the planets align like that. Jupiter,
the age of Aquarius.
and all that, yeah.
All I remember is God's still working on me to make me what I ought to be. And then he has the planets are all in that song from Vacation Bible School. All right, on the way, a look at news. But first, we want to tell you about Haynes Total Health Care Center. Chiropractic, physical therapy, nutritional needs. They can handle all those because it works together to help your body operate the way the body is supposed to operate. Want to find out more about what they do? Click on this ad at lettermedia.com, and it takes you to HaynesHealth.com for more details. Each week, we'll announce the Neil Coleman Insurance Wyandotte Mutual Litter Media Player of the Week, presented by Homeland Credit Union. And in December, we'll announce the Player of the Year. Nominate any amateur athlete by visiting littermedia.com and click on Player of the Week. You'll also see the players we've named throughout the year. Make your nomination today for the Neil Coleman Insurance Wyandotte Mutual Litter Media Player of the Week, presented by Homeland Credit Union.
Whenever I first applied for the Archways opportunity, do I have to pay this back? Do I have to do that? Like, is it a loan? And it's not. It's a scholarship. A goal of mine is to graduate college debt-free. If you're a crew member, you get $2,500 a year, and if you're a manager, you get $3,000. And especially if you're going locally to college, like to the branch or something like that, it's really helpful.
Discover Ross County. From the breathtaking outdoor adventures to the historic sights of Chillicothe and family-friendly events and festivals. Explore more at visitchillicotheohio.com or download the free mobile app today. Littermedia.com is where you'll find a lot of the information we're sharing with you today, but we do ask that you follow us on our Facebook and Littermedia X. You'll find some details there that we don't always put on our website, but there's plenty of information you find in all of our platforms, and you'll find all those in the upper right-hand corner of our website, littermedia.com, which is also where you can hear Litter Media Radio. And if you're not listening live right now, you can go to littermedia.com to learn more.
Well, our own Aaron Glandon went out into the winter cold yesterday and took some photos.
And it was cold. I'll tell you that much.
And they still have some of the Christmas decorations up, it looks like.
And there was rabbit tracks on the pond. You can see it hopping along.
Bugs Bunny?
Yes. I went outside because I would park my car, put the hazard lights on, run out and snap a photo. And in those few seconds, my hands would freeze and I would feel my nostrils start to freeze over.
Was the wind blowing any when you were out, or was it pretty still, just cold?
I think it was pretty still. It was just cold.
Because that's the way it was this morning. The winds weren't that bad. It's just cold, which would mean much worse if the wind was blowing at all.
I really like the color of the caboose here and all, really well offset. There's one of the litter properties right there, the old area where they would dump off coal and everything.
Tipple?
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
But you can find these photos on our Facebook and on our Instagram.
And a lot of people have been liking those today. We appreciate that.
Yes, thank you.
You ever played on that ball diamond?
Oh, yeah, many times.
I never have.
Yeah, VFW. And as a result of the weather, all area schools were closed today. Circleville City Schools was just one of the screenshots, but all of the schools that we could find, we always share that on our Litter Media Facebook and Litter X. But don't be shocked if the same thing is repeated tomorrow morning, because it's going to be even colder tomorrow than it was this morning.
And if you're up in Circleville and you need a warm place to be, a reminder that there will be a warming center available in Circleville, open the next few nights due to the extreme cold and the overnight temperatures there. That's the Vineyard Church up in Circleville on Pickaway Street.
You know, we haven't been getting any notifications in Chillicothe. Typically, in the past, when we've had these cold snaps, they've opened up a bigger building. I'm wondering, though, that if the shelter, Ross Community Action Shelter, is taking care of most of that need, there are still people that are out there homeless that aren't in the shelter.
And shame on me. I saw Tim Marhoover from Jefferson Avenue 3CU yesterday, and I forgot to ask him because I know they would open their doors as well. And Salvation Army has done that in the past as well.
Gotcha.
So
Ross County Port Authority has a new website that the public can view to see how they are doing on projects to create new industry and jobs. I remember some time back when we started, I think we mentioned the Port Authority, and one of our viewers said, well, what's that? So if you want to learn more about them, there's the link at Ross County PA, which is portauthority.com. I checked that out yesterday, and there's a good bit of information about current projects and other things that they're working on in the community to bring jobs.
isn't this that zone area also out on 104?
That's
where
one of them.
FedEx is and everything.
Yeah, Great Seal Industrial Park.
Which is almost kind of like an international zone, isn't it?
Exactly. That's what a Port Authority is. Yeah.
Paint Valley ADAMH has something for us here today. They'll be having a peer recovery supporter training opportunity over 5 dates. That's coming up in March. You can contact Lakin Woods for more details and how you might participate.
Yeah, there's a link there on the site, but for those on radio, I can't read it, Dan, because the camera's blocking me out.
For the email?
Yeah.
Lakin Woods 24@outlook.com.
A farm accounting workshop is coming up, and this is using Quicken. It's coming up for a couple of area counties. Registration is $65 per farm business. That's 2 people on per computer. Space is limited to 10 farm businesses at each location. Now, the registration deadline is 1 week prior to each workshop. To register, you can call or visit the hosting OSU Extension office. For more information, visit go.osu.edu/Quicken. Now, this includes events in Ross County at their Ag Extension office, February 10th and 11th, and then Fairfield County, February 12th and 13th.
If they don't answer the phone right now, it's because they're probably hungover from celebrating that OSU championship.
Probably so. And those are some of our topics for today.
Details a little more in depth about Ohio State coming your way in just a moment with sports. But first, let's tell you about Accurate Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing, your trusted comfort advisor. If you've got an issue with maybe you've had some frozen pipes and that kind of stuff in this weather, give Accurate a call. They are your first contact you should call. Well, you might call mom or dad, that does that kind of stuff. But then get a hold of Accurate. You can click on this ad at littermedia.com, and it takes you to AccurateHVAC.com to have the professionals on scene.
This is Andy Tomlinson. When ensuring what's important to you, our agents are there when you need us the most. Tomlinson Insurance, for the best coverage at the best cost. Visit us online at tomlinsonins.com to learn more.
Life. It can get on top of you quickly, can't it? But with 211, it only takes one step to get connected to the help you need. 211 is always available to help. So get in touch today.
Find a career you love with Pickaway Ross Adult Education. Skilled trades careers are in high demand with no signs of slowing down. Pickaway Ross offers career training programs with expert instructors and hands-on learning tactics to create a variety of opportunities. Visit our website for more information.
Each week, we'll announce the Neil Coleman Insurance Wyandotte Mutual Intermedia Player of the Week, presented by Homeland Credit Union. And in December, we'll announce the Player of the Year. Nominate any amateur athlete by visiting littermedia.com and click on Player of the Week. You'll also see the players we've named throughout the year. Make your nomination today for the Neil Coleman Insurance Wyandotte Mutual Intermedia Player of the Week, presented by Homeland Credit Union. Well, spring cleaning's going to be around the corner here before too long. You might need a dumpster for that. They'll get it to you now if you want to. 740-253-8389 for Scioto Valley Dumpsters. At your residence or business, you need a dumpster? Give them a call, 740-253-8389. Little something happened down in Georgia last night.
And it was heard around the world. The Ohio State Buckeyes won the College Football Playoff National Championship with a 34-23 decision over the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. The Buckeyes built up a 31-7 lead and held off a late Notre Dame charge as the Irish cut the margin to 31-23. Will Howard connected with Jeremiah Smith on a 3rd and long to the 10-yard line, followed a couple of minutes later by Jaden Fielding's field goal to clinch the national title victory. And there's kind of, if you're watching this on our video here today, you can see the waste. You got Tennessee, Oregon, and Texas helmets on the ground. And Notre Dame is, I think, up on the hill, right? The gold thing. Mm-hmm. And by the way, a celebration will be held at Ohio Stadium this coming Sunday, the 26th of January at 12 noon. Now, if you remember back in 2014 when they won the national title, they did the same thing. Mm-hmm. And at that time, I think they had maybe 30,000 or come to think of it, I'm thinking when Ben Hartsock, that was 2002. Mm-hmm. I think they had about 30-some thousand. I don't remember what they did for the 2014 team. The weather might have been so bad that they couldn't do it outside.
I thought, wasn't that where Shea Grant sang a cappella?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Carmen, Ohio.
And they had on the platform the 3 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And of course Cardale was the one. So maybe they did do that outside. But I don't remember from what I've seen here. This, by the way, was sent to us from Ohio State. It didn't say anything about the time the gates would be open or anything like that. I think that was just open to the public, free of charge. Mm. So I'm assuming it'll be the same coming up this Sunday at noon at Ohio Stadium.
Someone asked Ryan Day earlier during that press conference they had about the future, about what's coming up next. And he's like, and they asked about the guys who were coming through the transfer portal. Right. And he said, it's going to be the same thing that we did with last time. He said, I had the team captains get together and help me decide whether or not to have these guys be a part of the team because I didn't want to mess up the chemistry. And they said, yes, let's bring them in so that they can learn what it takes so that they'll be prepared for next year. Yeah. And then they started asking him, well, what about the spring game? And everybody says, I'm not talking about spring game right now.
I need a break.
It's a little early for all that.
Yeah.
So congratulations.
There was some high school basketball that took place. As Dan and Aaron told you yesterday, there were games on Sunday, and there were games yesterday on Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. Some of them were makeup games, i.e. the girls' SVC Adena win over Southeastern 43-26. That was a makeup game. Ditto on the MSL Buckeye Hamilton Township win over Amanda. In the SOC 3, the SOC has been playing on MLK Day for a number of years, so that was probably regularly scheduled. Minford over Waverly in SOC 3. In SOC 1, New Boston was a winner, and so was South Gallia in the Shack. Fairfield, White Oak, and Williamsburg were all victorious. And in the TVC, this was maybe a little bit of a surprise. Athens Lady Bulldogs, who've had a tremendous season, they got beat by Fed Hawk by 13 last night. In non-conference play, the powerful Lady Shermans of Unioto fell up at Berlin, Ohio, to Shaker Heights Laurel, 53-45. McLean over Piketon. Portsmouth beat Lakota West. Hillsborough beat Blanchester. Ripley over Bethel Tate. Waterford, Wadsworth over Fairland. And Warren beat Belpre.
Our Litter Media game of the week was supposed to be Lancaster at Tays Valley tonight. That has been moved to January 30th. Thursday's game is coming up, and that'll be Unioto at Huntington. And Unioto's probably going to be kind of hungry coming off that loss last night. So we'll see how things play out Thursday down in the Huntington Hills.
All righty. And I guess
Cleveland Cavaliers, yes. They set on the Suns. I like how Mike worded all this. 118-92 in an afternoon game. And Monday, I'm going to follow on the coattails here. They'll attempt to ground the Rockets in Houston tomorrow night. CBJ, they fell to the New York Islanders, so 0-2 in the Big Apple for their second straight defeat. They'll travel across the border to Toronto to take on the Maple Leafs tomorrow.
All righty. And that is sports.
All right. Up ahead, this date in history for not too far ago, see.
Yes, sir. 2009.
Details next.
Again, one of our great sponsors, Litter Quality Propane. Custom tank colors and wraps. Find out how a propane tank can be beautiful at litterpropane.com.
As a professional race car driver, I live for speed, power, and performance on and off the track. That's why I use the Dixie Chopper, the world's fastest lawnmower. Race into your local dealership today and test drive a new Dixie Chopper.
Wherever you are, you're there for a reason. You shouldn't have to make a trip to the branch just to deposit a check. Skip the trip and use our mobile app to easily and securely deposit checks from your phone. Day or night, wherever you are, or whatever you're doing. Download the Kingston National Bank Mobility app today.
Introducing the Petland Litter Media Pet of the Week. We want to put your pet in the spotlight. Pets with paws to pets with fins. If they gallop, crawl, or slither, play fetch, or simply curl up and snuggle. Send us a photo of your pet and we'll announce a new pet each week. And one pet will be crowned Pet of the Year. To nominate your pet, visit littermedia.com. Click on Pet of the Week. Tell us about your pet and be sure to include a photo. Watch Litter Media Live each Thursday for the announcement of the Petland Litter Media Pet of the Week. No purchase necessary. Contest applications must be from Ohio residents and at least 18 years old.
As a basketball coach and a dad, I need to be able to keep up.
Mark came to the Adina Orthopedic and Spine Institute in severe arm pain from a degenerative disc.
I was so confident in Dr. Fleming, he explained everything.
Together, they decided on minimally invasive spinal surgery to relieve Mark's pain and get him back to what matters most. At Adina, we do what we love, so you can too.
This date in history, we turn the clock back 16 years to the day of our Lord, 2009.
2009. After more than 7 decades as the world's largest automaker, General Motors, GM, officially loses the title when it announces worldwide sales of 8.36 million cars and trucks in 2008, compared with Toyota's 8.97 million vehicle sales that same year. However, the news wasn't all rosy for the Japanese auto giant, which later in 2009 posted its first ever loss as a public company.
What were we thinking?
Just to show how quickly you can go from success to, oops.
Who'd have thought that 3 ovals could be put into an image like this, and it stand for Toyota?
Toyota, yeah. You'd think there'd be a T in there somewhere.
Well, I think it's what
is that what that is? Kind of like a bent T?
Yeah. Well, according to Eli Manning, it's 3 footballs in that commercial.
Is that right?
That he does.
Okay. Eli, he's fun. Yeah. And he changed his middle name to what was it?
To Toyota.
Yeah. I thought your name was Nelson. It's now Toyota.
You know, one of the things that I'm missing most about the NFL season, before it's even done, is the Manning cast. If you don't get a chance to watch it, take time, because sometimes, especially if it's one of those dog games and it falls on Monday night and you don't really care about the game, just listen to their guests, who they have in there, and you kind of forget about the game. But then the football in Peyton usually comes back and says, okay, wait a second, guys, we're at the 20, and what's your options here? What do you want to do? I would do this. And it's so fun to sit and listen to these athletes talk about what they would do.
It reminds me when I've watched it one time, when I'm trying to watch a game and my wife wants to talk about something else, and I'm just slowly seething. Can you be quiet? I'm trying to watch this. Like last night, I think it was during some of the press conferences, she wanted to talk about school, and I thought, I'd rather watch this.
And you know, they do this with the ESPN when they get into the championship bowl games and that kind of stuff. They'll put the same game on like 4 of their networks, and Pat McAfee and his boys get on there. A.J. Hawk was with him last night. He's one of the Pat McAfee show deals. They had a Lou Holtz impersonator on during this whole broadcast, and I watched it the second half, and it was hilarious. It really was. But they were using a lot of profanity and that sort of thing, so they kind of let them go to do what they want to say and do. But it was entertaining because it wasn't the normal standard announcers doing the show.
I know Lou Holtz has fallen in disfavor with a lot of Ohio State fans the last couple of years, but I love Lou Holtz. Yeah. I think he's a Notre Dame guy. I mean, he was an assistant coach at Ohio State, but he's a Notre Dame guy. And I just think he's got a lot of wisdom in what he has said over the years. Sure. Just because he's picked Notre Dame over Ohio State 2 different times, I get it.
And he had President Trump's Diet Coke sitting right there with him during whenever they would show him on the camera wearing his 88 hat, the whole deal. So I don't know how old Lou is these days.
I thought when they kept showing him on TV last night, I thought he looked, his health is failing him. But he's got to be up there in his mid-80s or
that's what I was thinking. I wasn't sure. At first, I thought 88 was his age, that kind of thing. And then I thought, wait, no, that's the national championship that they won last time. Yeah. Marcus Freeman. He's going to do great things at Notre Dame. Great. He's already done great things at Notre Dame, and hats off to them. I felt bad for the Irish. I mean, your initial thoughts when they drove down the field on that opening drive?
I thought, well, a lot of people thought the game, despite what Vegas said, a lot of people I talked to said, I think it'll be close. So I thought we're in a battle.
Well, and when I saw how dogged Leonard was, I mean, he was spent after that first drive. And I thought to myself, the best thing that could happen for Ohio State right now is they either score quickly and make him go back out on the field or, score within the next 3 minutes, or maybe just do a 3 and out and he has to come back out again and see if he's got enough energy to go. Yeah. But he seemed to get some of that energy back towards the latter part of the game. And the kid, the wide receiver, Greathouse, for Notre Dame, man, he came up big.
Yeah, he did.
Really did. Really. So I was happy that they made it a game late. But in the same respect, I was like, but I hope they don't overtake the Buckeyes.
I thought it was interesting when they were talking later about the 2 programs, Notre Dame and Ohio State, that they said, and I think a lot of this was in the post game with Herb Street and what's his name? Help me, Fowler. And then Van Pelt and Reese Davis were talking about the same thing. The culture of the 2 football teams is very, very comparable.
Yeah.
And, like they were saying, of course, NIL has changed a little bit of that, but a lot of those kids that came back, Notre Dame had a 6-year player. Probably could have gone on to the pros. A bunch of those guys at Ohio State could have jumped, but they wanted to come back. But they liked each other. There was a bond there. And, as Scott Van Pelt said, they got their dough, but a lot of them probably could have been making even more dough with the NFL. So,
and in the same respect, for people who said, well, they got all that NIL money, and so they bought this team. Let's be honest. Many of those guys, like that defense, Downs was the only true standout that stood there as a new person through the transfer portal. All those other guys have been there 4, 5, and like you said, 6 years in those instances.
And on that NIL, they beat up Ohio State all year about the $20 million. Oregon was number 1, $23 million.
Yeah.
Number 2 was Texas, $22.5 million. Ohio State was third. I think Notre Dame had 16, something like that, 16 million. So.
I did see one post on Facebook the other day. This was like a week and a half ago, where they said, amazing, isn't it, that the SEC has fallen away now that the NIL can be done legally.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And I thought to myself, and here you have the Notre Dame, who doesn't have a league affiliation, against Ohio State from the Big Ten. They didn't win the championship, but they came back and they did what they needed to go through that gauntlet that has been set up to get to where they were for this game. And they're playing in the SEC backyard in Atlanta, Georgia. And I'm thinking, this is great, in your face. And then for the coin toss, I'm from the SEC, and we're doing the officiating for the game tonight. And I'm like, oh, no.
Yeah. I'm still not a big fan of the NIL, but if they're going to go that way, there's got to be some tweaks to it.
Yeah,
it's going to get crazy and crazier.
There has to be some caps of some sort. You can't just keep...
And you're not going to be able to opt out after your regular season.
Yeah, you look at like the Dodgers. They just got the Japanese kid, wasn't it, here recently?
Yeah.
Or Korean, I can't remember which, but an Asian player they brought in, and everybody was like, who's going to get him? Who's going to get him? Well, of course, the Dodgers are going to get him,
right?
Because they got the dough.
And there's a luxury tax that is already in place, but when you've got so much money, they just pay that penalty and big deal.
Right.
The Reds and the Royals and teams like that, they can't do that. So. Oh, well.
Okay. Off our soapboxes. Congratulations to
Go Bucks!
The Ohio State University and the Buckeyes. And Michigan fans, you can still say, yeah, we were the last ones to beat Ohio State.
Yeah, and you can beat that drum all you want. I don't care. We got the gold trophy.
And you go over 25 years now. And you can say, yeah, we've won the last 4 games against Ohio State. But you're 17-7 against Ohio State since the year 2000.
Right. I think they said last night, of course, Michigan won it last year.
Yeah.
First time the Big Ten has won back-to-back national championships in 80 years.
Since, 67, 68?
No, 80 years.
I was thinking there was...
That goes back to probably
60s.
the 30s.
Wow.
Minnesota, a lot of people don't know. Look it up, how good Minnesota was in the AP national championships in the 30s. They repeated on a number of occasions. So.
Back before the NFL took things over.
Yes.
All right, that's it for today's program, our Daily Show. We're back with another Daily Show tomorrow. Coming up at 2 o'clock this afternoon, we'll be visited by Pickaway County Commissioners Jay Whipple, Gary Shearer.
And we have a special edition tomorrow morning. Zane Trace FFA.
Oh, that's right. It's almost breakfast time, isn't it? Sausage breakfast. All that coming your way within the next few hours. So stick with us here on Litter Media.